Hi, I'm Mike Holtzclaw, Communications Coordinator for the City of Hampton. I am guest hosting this edition of Round Robin. Today, our guest is Bill Mullis, the owner and operator of Langley Speedway. Bill, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you very much, and I always enjoy being on the show, and we really enjoy Langley Speedway being such a big part of the city of Hampton.
You've been part of the City of Hampton for a long, long time now at Langley.
Long time, 74 years of racing this year, and a lot of people don't know it, but what I call a cool fact about Langley is Langley Speedway and Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, are the two oldest sanctioned NASCAR tracks in the United States today.
That's an amazing thing to think about. I think any sport ties back to its history. You talk about almost 3/4 of a century going back to the dirt track. What does that mean to have that kind of history in one place?
It's really kind of unbelievable. You really have got to sit down, read a lot of it, and kind of immerse yourself in it for a while to get the feeling of what really went on there all those years of racing. And the history is amazing. And to me, Langley actually is better known on a national level than it is locally sometimes, which is an oddity. You know, you think, well, a lot of people, and it's interesting, I get an opportunity to go around to a lot of racetracks, obviously with NASCAR, and I work on NASCAR's appeals board right on up through Cup racing, and I always enjoy asking people like Jack Roush or Richard Childress when I see them, or Richard Petty that I saw in Richmond, and I said, tell me a story about Langley. So when I asked Richard Petty in Richmond this spring to tell me a Langley story, I had an opportunity to actually sit down with him for about 10 minutes, which was like a guy like me, it's like a dream come true to sit down and talk to Richard Petty. And I said, Richard, tell me a story about Langley Speedway. And he said, do you want a story about when it was a dirt track, or would you rather have a story when it was paved? And when he went to that, I just smiled, and the stories you can get about Langley are absolutely fantastic.
Oh, I believe it. And again, the history of a place. I've always thought this about War Memorial Stadium also in Hampton. But people who go there today at this beautiful modern facility with the paved raceway, but they can look at it and say, Richard Petty raced there. Ned Jarrett, Bobby Allison raced in this same spot. And, you build a brand new facility in a brand new place, and it's wonderful, but it doesn't have that history. And what do you think it means to the longtime patrons at Langley to just understand the link to NASCAR's history?
I think it means a lot to the community, and more than we feel sometime. And it's the similarities at Bowman Gray Stadium. You'll go in the stands and sit, and somebody will say, that's my seat, because that's where my grandfather sat when we came together. And the families have had 3 and 4 generations sometimes, and I see at Langley often 3 generations right there together. So when you look at that, what it meant to the families alone, and then what it really meant to the race community in NASCAR, a lot of people think that, the relationship with NASCAR, they'll look at what we call a home track like Langley Speedway that's got a NASCAR sanction, has been for years and years, obviously, and they don't think that NASCAR on a big level knows who we are, but that's really not true. NASCAR on a big level, they love Langley Speedway. It is their roots. They know that and they recognize it. And we have a fantastic relationship with NASCAR International, the corporate office at Daytona, and down at the R&D Center in Concord, North Carolina, and the offices in Charlotte. And the amount of support we get directly from NASCAR corporate is pretty big. Behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know it's there, but it's very solid and it's very much in place. So just the dynamic of the history, it's got, I'd say, a lot of forks to it. It's families that have been basically fans. There's families that have 3 or 4 generations racing. There's people that have 3 or 4 generations of working at the racetrack as an employee or an official. And to me, that's the most dedicated people, are, really like the people that come to the track to work as an official, because they sacrifice their weekends, and the racers' dedication is unbelievable. you know, and I always say the racers are number one, because without the racers, you don't have a show and you don't have a purpose. You don't need fans, and you don't need sponsors, and you don't even need a racetrack if you don't have racers first. So in my world, and I'm a hobbyist racer and still am, believe it or not, at my age, but the racers are number one, because they make the world go round, and they make Langley what it is today. And the racers that we have today are fantastic. I think Langley right now is in a kind of a new era of time. I feel like we've had a rebirth, and we're really progressing, and the show there is fantastic, and it takes a small village to make what happens there on Saturday night come to life. And it's really somewhat magical. If you sit there from early in the morning and nobody's there, and you see it come to life, and the fans come and go, and then it goes back, and you'll come back by there on a Sunday evening and it's sitting there silent again. And then I see it sometimes out in the winter when it's snowing and nothing's happened there for 2 or 3 weeks or a month, and it's just quiet out there, and you think, oh, the dynamic of what will be here when spring comes again. So it's a fantastic feeling.
You know, you talk about it coming to life, and you talk about it in terms of a rebirth. And a place like Langley really does feel like a living thing.
It is.
During the pandemic, when there were restrictions put in place, an awful lot of racetracks shut down.
Yes.
You chose to stay open. Now, I know you lost a year of racing in 2016 during the land negotiations. Was that the big thing? Was it that important to you not to lose a second year? What was the reasoning behind staying open?
I think just the proof that we're there, and even under a hard time, you know, we were restricted to 800 fans, which was pretty tough, because we can have a pretty big fan base at Langley, as you know, and for big shows, it's unbelievable how many people will come there. But to me, it was a survival success tactic for me, and to keep the racers involved, the fan base and the sponsors involved, instead of just saying, we're just not going to do this at all. Let's put our best effort in to do it at the scale we were allowed to. So it was odd. I do some hobbyist racing. We were racing down in North Carolina at Langley Speedway, and Dixieland was open and Langley was closed. And then Dixieland had orders. They had orders from the governor of North Carolina, and they had to quit racing. And then after the first part of July, we were allowed to reopen, be an outdoor facility with limited numbers, and of course a lot of COVID things, preventive measures in place at the racetrack as well. But to me, it was more of just a survival type of thing. Sometimes I think in business, survival success, you don't necessarily have to make any money, but if you can break even and you're still in existence, it's some proof there. So I just think it was as much Vaughn and Chuck's idea that works out at the track. You know, Chuck Hall's been there for years, and to me, he's really the backbone of Langley Speedway. He's the bloodline and the lifeline of Langley is Chuck Hall, not so much me. And Vaughn Crittenden does video work, and he's been working with us there. And I said, guys, what do we do? And they said, I think we want to go racing. And I said, that's fine. So I'm really, a lot of people look at me, I think, and try to maybe label me as Langley Speedway. But I tell people all the time, I'm a very small part in a way. The small part I play might have a big role, but that place isn't about me at all. It's about Hampton. It's about the history. It's about NASCAR's 74 years of racing there. And it's about the community and all the people that I see come out there on Saturday night. I enjoy sitting in the stands. A lot of people, fans that come every weekend, you may not know their name, but you recognize the faces. And a lot of people come out there on Saturday nights. I have no clue who they are at all, but I really enjoy seeing that because they're the people I'm there for. I don't necessarily even know them, but they're the people that Langley performs for, is the masses that come out there, the race community, and it's not the people I know, it's about people that I don't even know. So I think with my role at Langley, it's very quiet in a way, behind the scenes. And I tell people, if the lights are on and it looks really good when they get there on Saturday, because I do want to present it, it's our home in the city of Hampton, and I feel like I'm representing NASCAR in Hampton, and I want the place to look well, and I want it to be a great place for families to come and enjoy racing in Hampton, Virginia. And so to me, I always tell people, if the lights were on and it looked pretty good, I did my job. So, but I'll tell everybody, I don't work there on Saturday. I do give a lot of advice. I've watched racing for a lot of years, so I know what I'm looking at, and I might take some notes and help my team, but I don't go around. I'm not real assertive out there. I'm usually there if people want me, they can call me, and I'll give them advice if they want it.
Do you feel like it's largely back to normal now, post-pandemic, or are you still adjusting?
I think it is. It's very normal now, and it's normal with more strength than we had. We noticed it rebound somewhat. Of course, Chuck Hall and I kind of built it back up through 2015. I took it over in 2009, and those years were during a lease. And when we were able to do the property deal and reopen in 2017, of course, we opened with a bang, a lot of support, and that stayed there. And then COVID hit, and that was pretty scary, to be honest with you. I'm like, how do you own a public facility? You got a pretty good debt service here, and if you can't race, boy, am I in trouble. So, you know, we pulled through that one and did pretty good, but it's a special place. There's no doubt about it.
It's a very special place. I was just thinking, you know, you watch Denny Hamlin win the Daytona 500. You know that, if I'm not mistaken, his first victory, his first race and his first victory as a racer came at Langley Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you come out there any Saturday to see a race at Langley, and you don't know if you're going to be seeing a future Daytona champion.
No, you don't. And Denny, you know, and even after Denny, you know, he won his first championship at Langley Speedway in the mini stocks, and I think he started there at 14 years old. And even Kyle Larson, you know, who's really up on top and been a recent Cup champion. Kyle Larson's first time ever in an asphalt car was at Langley Speedway for Drive for Diversity. And a lot of people don't know that. Daniel Suarez got in at Langley Speedway. Bubba Wallace got in Drive for Diversity at Langley Speedway. So not only Denny, but even since then, Chase Elliott raced there. The list goes on of people that have raced at Langley. And even now, we see William Byron has raced at Langley. We see Josh Berry, Earnhardt Jr.'s driver there, has raced at Langley. So, you know, we've seen a lot of stars of today have come through Langley in the past 10 years, or since 2009 when I was involved in the track. So it's kind of a good feeling when you see somebody come through that short track, and then I'm at the Daytona 500 and they're driving, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. That's how it really works.
Every Saturday during the summer, there is racing at Langley Speedway in Hampton, and you never know who you're going to be seeing. Bill Mullis, thank you so much for coming in today. I am Mike Holtzclaw, Communications Coordinator for the City of Hampton, and this has been Round Robin.